Bismillah Rahman Rahim. Assalamu alaikum students. I hope you will be safe and sound. Today I am going to read the first chapter of the reading circle book for the student of class 7. The Secret of Seaview Cottage. Isn't it wonderful? Cried Jimmy, right as he followed his comrades of the Kestrel patrol into the tiny cottage sitting a few yards from the desert beach. I wondered if we shall find any treasure buried under the floorboards. Hey, cried Mr. Millman, the wealthy scoutmaster of the troops of Sea Scouts, letting your imagination run wild. Jimmy, the youngest member of the patrol, went red. I was just wondering, sir, he said lamely. The scoutmaster patted the boy on the back. It will be dark soon, he said. I am sure you are all as hungry as I am after the voyage. Yes, sir, cried the scout, and then began a general forage round for stores and cooking pots. An hour later, the boy and the scoutmaster gave vent to a satisfied sigh and agreed that a meal had never gone down so well. Do you think this place is haunted, sir? Asked Jimmy after the meal had been cleared away and he listened to the creaking of the floorboards overhead. Mr. Milmed nodded, a smile on his lips. It's a local gossip, he answered, and I will remember then when my brother and I were lads. We used to see all manners of weird shadows pass across the window of Seaview Cottage. The speaker laughed. But don't you worry, he added. You won't meet any ghost. The speaker laughed. But don't worry, he added, you won't meet any ghost. The youngest scout grinned rather feebly and then, squaring his shoulders, glanced across at best friend. Bob's Willies. Hey Bob, he cried. Let's explore. And at the other's eager nod, the two rose and vanished up the winding staircase of the old cottage to which Mr. Melman had brought some of his scout in a small yacht for a month's holidays. Meanwhile, the other continued to talk, and Gerald Turnbull was in the middle of a rather funny story, and there came a terrific clatter in the stairs, and Bob Willis literally fell into the room. He helped, he gasped. Gee ghost, we have seen them. Don't be silly, snapped the scoutmaster, gripping the Sea Scout. And you are not a kid. Bob swallowed hard and pulled himself together. I am sorry, sir, he answered bravely. But Jamie and I saw a figure upstairs and... Where is Jimmy? Asked Beck Borden. Suddenly, Bob shook his head. I don't know, he replied. I thought he was behind me. Mr. Melman looked rather anxious. Come along, all of you, he said. This must be looked into. And he led the way upstairs to find all the bedrooms deserted. Jimmy Wright had completely and utterly vanished. Suddenly there came a cry from the room over the kitchen, and as the others dashed back into the room where Bob had seen his supposed ghost, they found Jack Burton peering into a cupboard. Look, sir, cried Jack as he held the door of the cupboard open for his scoutmaster. Isn't that a door or something at the back? Mr. Melman whipped out a torch and flashed a beam on the back of the cupboard. You are right, he muttered, and what's more, it is partly open. There is no doubt that our young friend Jimmy has gone exploring further. Keep together, all of you, and follow me. There seems to be steps leading downwards. The boy of the Kestrel patrol followed eagerly, their hearts beating with excitement and hardly able to predict the fact that they were having a great adventure on the first day of their holiday. One by one, they passed through the cupboard and then down a flight of dirty, worn, and slippery stone steps. Once down the steps, the member of the patrol found that they were in a lofty, well-built tunnel. All had torches for whoever heard of a scout who was not prepared for any emergency. So that these tiny points of light were quite enough to light up the tunnel. The procession moved forward in silence and without any incident, but suddenly the scoutmaster called a halt and pushing and jostling. The boy managed to get close enough to their leader to see what had caused him to stop so abruptly. Here is the reason for the tunnel, whispered the owner of the yacht, which, even then, rode safely at anchor in the bay. Here is evidence of what Walk Bob's ghost does for a living. Necks were craned forward and question rose to every pair of lips. Do you mean that we have hit upon a smuggler's lair? Whispered Bob. That's about the size of it, agreed the scoutmaster, and I reckon there is something like £1,000 worth of contrabands. Good hears. Joe whispered back Barton. What's a thrill? Then he paused. But what about Jimmy? He went on. If there are smugglers about, even modern ones, won't he be running into a terrible danger? The scoutmaster raised his head. By Joe, he said earnestly, you are dead right, Jack. We must push forward at once. Those men won't stop at anything to prevent their secret from being. Mr. Melman stopped speaking as abruptly as if someone had pressed pause. For a sudden shout echoed round the tunnel. Quick, yelled Gerald Turnbull, I have found a treasure and a skeleton. In a second, the scoutmaster and the rest of the Kestrel patrol were dashing along the tunnel. Bob Willis was the first to arrive at his comrade's side, but the others were not far behind. Soon they were all staring with amazed eyes at a pile of tarnished gold and silver articles which were hidden in a deep recess in the wall, and at a bleached skeleton. Jumping snakes, cried Mr. Millman. This is a find. This is why the tunnel was constructed. The smuggling part of the business must have come much later. He paused. But how did the smuggler manage to miss it? I should have thought it would be impossible not to see this lot. Oh, but sir, and Gerald, it was all hidden by a covering of plasters, which was completely concealed by a layer of dirt. It was by sheer accident that I feel heavily against the plaster. The scoutmaster nodded understandingly and, after examining the treasure and avoiding contact with the bones, he straightened up. We can't bother about this now, he cried. We have got Jimmy right to think about forward the Kestrel patrol but make less noise. I think I can see the opening just ahead. And he leveled his torch toward the tunnel some yard away. Shall we turn up our torches? Asked Bob. A good idea, came the reply. And so, in the darkness of that ground tunnel, the members of the Patrol Sea Scout crept along toward the entrance. It was a weird and solemn experience, and none of the boys were sorry when they finally emerged into the open air at a quiet spot amongst the sand dunes, some 200 yards from the water's edge. Now what? Whispered David. Hissed the scoutmaster warningly. I thought I heard something, and the party stood stock still listened intently. There is something close by, whispered Bob Willis in his leader's ears. To the right, I think. The other nodded, and then biting the remainder of the patrol stay where they were. He and Bob wriggled their way forward between the low shrub-like bushes. Bob was leading, and so it was that he was the first to discover his chum. Jimmy, he cried in a stumble over the form of the scout who had started the adventure. Are you all right? Speak, Jimmy. For goodness sake, say something. Uggle, said Jimmy obediently. He is gagged, rapped out the scoutmaster as he bent over the prostrate figure out of the youngest member of the Kestrel, and in less than a minute Jimmy Wright was gasping out his story. the gist of which was that he had chased a ghost through the tunnel only to meet with three other very solid ghosts on the beach. They knocked me on the head, he finished prayerfully, tied that filthy rag round my mouth until I could hardly breathe, and then pinched the Seahawk. I heard them start the engine. Mr. Millman did not hesitate for a second, and there was no longer any need for silence. He placed a silver whistle to heal his lips and blew three short blasts, the call of the Kestrel Patrol. In a very short while, the rest of the scouts came up at the double. Man the outboard, commanded the scoutmaster, and make for the yacht. You, Bob, he added, signal the captain to up anchor. We are going after those smugglers unless. He hesitated. Unless anyone would like to turn in, he finished. A chorus of protest went up, and a few minutes later, of the whole patrol was aboard the smaller of the yacht's three shore craft. It was a tight squeeze, for the stolen Seahawk was much the bigger boat, but the Sea Scout managed it, and was soon making, without lights, for the yacht that had not yet steamed away after bringing the boys to the cottage. When they arrived alongside, they were greeted by Captain Sprutt. You are too late, sir, he called out, and it's a good job. I didn't sail on the evening tide, but I will lower the gangway, sir, he added, and tell the whole story. Now what's all this about, Captain? Demanded the owner of the yacht as he finally stood on deck. What do you mean by saying that we are too late? The hardly old salt saluted and then grinned almost boyishly. I mean just this, sir, he answered, and at a sign from him, three sailors came forward, dragging between them four very sorry-looking specimen of humanity. We're looking for these gentlemen, sir, he asked. Mr. Millman nodded. We were, he answered, and I am mighty glad you saved us from the trouble of chasing them. Saw them making off with the Seahawk, sir, said the captain. So me and the second mate tumbled into the longboard and nabbed them. The scoutmaster looked worried. What shall we do with them? He asked. They probably belong to some village about here. The captain shook his head. No, sir, he replied. They are far near, and I reckon you gave them a complete surprise when you moved in the cottage. They have probably been doing a roaring trade in smuggled goods for ages. Mused the owner of the yacht. Then we had better keep them below for night and hand them over the police in the morning. And thus the secret, or rather the two secrets, of Seaview Cottage become revealed. And after a good deal of legal talk, the Sea Scout received a good sum of money from the government as their share of the treasure trove. Then the big yacht was bought for the troops, for it must be mentioned that Mr. Millman had seriously considered selling it, owning to the expense anchoring and captain and commission.